Well, if we message on Telegram, we'll see. We'll give it a little bit of time. You do have access, right, on your wallet to the V2? All right. All right. You have 4 viewers already, after all.
Please. Okay. You want to talk more about Metastreet?
Yeah, I think we can go through maybe their V2 blog post first, and then that's the most information I found so far, in addition to have a brief walkthrough video, but that's about it.
Okay, okay. Huh. Yes, milady.
Yep.
Ah.
They have some, just the ones that have PVL are like for, I think it was from some competition, but you can search like any NFT through that collection.
Ah, I see. Ah, milady has 0 TVL. No.
That just means because it's a closed alpha right now, and they're doing some.
Okay. Huh. What is one priority?
I think that is the fee tier and amount of days, and then it correlates to what priority is given for that.
Ah, I see, I see. Huh. Interesting, interesting. Okay, maybe we check out the blog. Where do we find the blog?
Find what?
The blog.
Ah, it's on their Medium post.
Medium. Ah. Okay, okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Not much. Getting ready to start.
Hello. Oh yeah. They're only seeing my screen.
Yeah, so we'll only be showing the screen as you see on the stream.
Yeah. Hello, how do I address you?
You can call me David.
Hi, David.
Hey.
Okay. Today we are going to talk about Metastreet V2. Do you want to explain more about Metastreet V2?
Having a hard time understanding.
We should go more normal today.
Yeah. Is that a voice changer?
No. He's my real voice.
Nice. Well, let's get started.
Okay. Okay, maybe we read the Metastreet white paper. Oh, there's no white paper on the side.
Yeah, there's no white paper. It's only the Medium article for now.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
And a few Twitter threads.
Okay. Okay, stories.
Yeah, that one.
The ATM. Ah. So it's basically like a autofill AMM, but for NFTs.
Yeah. So it's to summarize it at a high level. It's effectively we've kind of reshaped the AMM or like kind of V3 where we're trying to concentrate liquidity. And the primary thing we have to do is like we have to get to like 0 to a number. Like if it's like a single-sided like AMM, it's pretty much lending, right? Like if you're collateralizing an asset, you only provide one asset against the other, as opposed to providing the pair. The main thing here is called the thick tick, which is you can store a lot of information of different varying like parameters inside the same tick. And normally in Uniswap you would have like fixed tick like spacing like 0.01 to 0.02. We had to make it a little more elastic, so it's like 1 to 10 and then 10 to like 11 to 15. And then inside those ticks, which are now elastic ticks, you can store a lot more information.
Ah,
So it's a way, yeah, it's a way to hack the amount of buckets you could use because it costs 20k gas to Orgway in order to use each tick, and we're using more than we're using up to 16, whereas Uniswap uses 1, 2, or 3 because it's a perfect bell curve.
I see, I see. So it's like Uniswap V3 but for NFTs?
Yeah, for NFT lending specifically, not for swapping. So it's effectively it creates tranches instead of creating markets, and by creating tranches, you can cut up the risk a little better, and you can effectively get really high LTV loans
I see,
or
I
highest
see.
proceeds.
Is that why there's the tick fee tiers that can get applied that way then? Versus
Yeah.
before we had before it was the junior or senior tranches, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was we had originally 2 tranches, and we realized we can create an infinite number of tranches, not just 2. And the tranching itself is the oracle, or it's oracle-less rather. So by deciding a price, hey, I'm gonna loan up to here in this case, 60 ETH against a CryptoPunk. You just drag it up to 60 or 62 or 63. It doesn't have to be uniform, like is shown in the chart, and you can effectively create a new tranche instantaneously just by choosing a price. The interest rates is a little more sophisticated here. It's a little complicated, to be frank, but I can get into that in a bit.
All right.
I see, I see. So I think maybe a question that people want to know is, what is the difference between this and Blur lending?
Yeah, absolutely. So Blur is very peer-to-peer, and it's still you can trigger liquidation on the lender side, which kind of works. The way it works normally. I mean, even before that, it was NFTFi, which was a true peer-to-peer market. And that's no different from a lending club or something traditional, where you just find a bilateral provider who provides all the terms. It's very similar to that, but the only difference is that there's an auction whenever the lender liquidates the loan, because the borrower doesn't liquidate, the lender does, and they initiate this auction period where they can resell the loan to somebody else, effectively making it perpetual. Obviously, it's not a guarantee that the Dutch auction is effectively going to guarantee a new lender to jump in, like a harbinger tax, pretty much, which was also explored by previous protocols as well. Nevertheless, the incentives make it very interesting, where people are now giving 0% interest rate loans. I'm not sure how long that will last, but definitely has caught up the market in terms of bringing attention to the space. The difference between that and this is that now you have multiple people coming together to provide a single loan. So you can have 100, 200 people depositing in different levels of risk that they want to allocate to at different price levels, because the people on the bottom, as you see on the left-hand chart, they're getting insurance from the top people, and the top people are getting leverage from the bottom people, because just like tranching, if you're in the very risky tranche, you're getting 50% of interest rates, which could go up to 200% interest, but you're also taking first loss if the loan defaults, and the people on the bottom getting insurance from the people above you, or they're getting much lower interest rate, but they're likely not going to lose their money. And this all is coming together to kind of bridge the benefits of that P2P a matching process and security, but also the very high LTVs that you can get. At the same time, you get the benefits of P2Pool, which is collaboration and capital efficiency. So all in all, I think the primary difference is that Metastreet tries to organize multiple people to provide a single loan, whereas Blend is still peer-to-peer, and they're really optimizing to support that buy now with leverage product, which is trying to see how well you can match individually between one and the other. it can get difficult in that model because there's not many people who provide a loan against CryptoPunk versus somebody who would provide a loan against a an other side, which is worth 1 ETH. So that's more easier to structure. And also, the interest rates, I know it's like currently at 0%, but that's not really a sustainable lending model where you can't have 0% loans the entire time without some incentive structure because it's just weird behavior. The biggest thing that our protocol really focuses on above anything else is that we focus on getting you the most proceeds as a borrower. Everything that we designed is to so that the borrower is getting the most amount of money that they can get against their NFT. Whereas other platforms are just trying to facilitate a form of debt, but doesn't really have an underlying objective. I guess theirs is more about the lender side preference, where the lender wouldn't lose money. That's kind of like the design. Ours
So
is
here-
how much.
Yes, if you try and get borrower to have the best leverage.
Yeah, we're trying to get them to have the best rate and the best leverage because we think the borrower is generally the marginal user. Like they're the most fickle when it comes to platform dependence. Another thing about us is that we build on top of other platforms. So if you're lending on Metastreet, you're also lending on NFTFi, X2Y2, Arcade, and soon Blur. That will happen. It's just we're waiting for their API.
I see. So, the ATM is somewhat of an option. Is that right to say?
The ATM is it's effectively it's a new primitive. I guess everything's an option in life. I guess
Yeah,
if you
I
think
guess
about
so.
it, everything with an expiration. You could a lot of people do loans as an option effectively because it's the fixed term. So if you think in 7 days the asset will crash significantly, you can pay the cost of an option. A lot of people have tried consider it that way. But for us, we're just trying to allocate capital in user-defined risk profiles, where people can allocate capital to where they think risk is actually placed and get rewarded for that risk.
I see. So all these tranches, the capital allocator. So for example,
Yeah.
this is 1 ETH. I put loan here. Then this is 0.8 ETH. I also put loan here.
Yeah, so the loan, it's kind of like Tetris on the left. Like whenever a loan is like taken out, it kind of like removes a little bit of money from each tranche that kind of got built up from the bottom up. The colors and the shades kind of represent a new concept that we invented called priority, is a priority index pretty much. Because we tried doing a PID controller interest rate where it would like, it was based on utilization, like, the familiar Aave models. But we realized like it's kind of like a dangerous model because it can get stuck. Like if there's not enough utilization, it just won't recover, the interest rates won't go up. And most importantly, it's not competitive because we are competing against individual lenders. So it has to always be competitive or higher to the competitive rates. Because, right now you're getting like 80% LTVs on good assets at like 30% interest rates. Our combined offer should be 90 and 20% interest rate. That's solved because you have tranching. To give an example here, if somebody's depositing in the top tranche, they can choose an interest rate, a 10, 30, or 50. It's just that choosing a less favorable term, say like you want to do 1 day terms or 3 day terms for 50% interest rates, which is the least favorable of the combination. Technically, you would want to have the lowest interest rates for the longest duration. Your priority would be lower in that you won't get filled. It's kind of like doing a very like very wide range on Uniswap V3. It's effectively a similar effect. Well, you wouldn't even get any fees at all, actually. In this scenario, if you did like, very short duration, very high interest rates, you'll be in the top right, right here, the light purple in that category. And the chances of you getting filled is very low because people are probably going to refill right in front of you. And your priority metric will be like, I don't know, like 50, which is the number of loans which is effectively measuring the number of loans that needs to be filled before you even get started. And if you're, if you're above 10, 20, or 50, likely people are going to fill right before the new loans are completed. So it becomes pretty binary in terms of your fill. There's a chance to fill metric effectively, and that's how we got around a pit controller interest rate system.
Ah, very clever, very clever. Huh. So, I see. So this is the priority system that is being established, like what you explained.
Yeah, exactly. It's effectively a way to put positions above others. This will be this is kind of like similar to the auto router. A lot of our inspirations is from Uniswap, obviously, because they're one of the few permissionless protocols. But this way, it's almost like it's technically like a third variable, effectively, which is why you have like the fee tiers on Uniswap and auto routes between those. But that's how we kind of think about it. Of course, this is also overlaid. The decision of the fee tier is overlaid with the tranche selection. So within each tranche, there's a priority, and then within each tick, there's a utilization, because you're technically entering into a vault every time you deposit, because each tick is a tranche, is a vault.
Okay. So there are lenders and borrowers?
Yeah. So we will have a borrow interface, just like not anytime soon, or more focusing on the pool experience above anything else.
Okay. So for this I'm lending. Okay, maybe we go to the UI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here I deposit 0.1. Okay,
Yeah, I think I think that drag button is broken right now.
Okay.
So if you see here, the current floor price is 1.1. So I don't know what price that is. I think the price is 1.08. That means you're taking a very risky position, by the way. So I just urge caution there. Because in 7 days, if the price is under 1.08, likely you're gonna lose money. But at the same time, you're getting the highest leverage against the different assets. What I recommend is maybe unclicking auto select right above that price. So there's an auto select checkbox, and it shows you which one's most selected. If you choose the 50 category instead of the 10%. On the fee tier. Yeah, we've locked. You can see the APR increases dramatically, but your priority is increasing. In that it's like golf. You don't want to have that high of a number. But likely it's a pretty good idea right now to do like a 50% interest rate, because there's not many loans ahead of you. And if there's another loan that fails, you're just going to be the second loan. So you can get up to 125%. For this position. And now if you drag the max APR on the chart, or you can modify price directly, this number also changes across the max APR. So you can drag the 6 dots. You modify that directly. Now you're above the floor, if you want. Yeah, so the max APR is modified here. Now 6.274. You can either create a tranche, like that's a nice feature of this, is that you can create a new tranche, or you can join an existing tranche. So it's all available.
So I can just click.
Yeah, you can click or you can drag. Yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah, so it really is infinite tranching, and that was kind of our goal. It's like we're not trying to pre-select tranches like in TradFi. You're effectively creating your own the moment you deposit, and it turns into a single experience. The tranching is done instantaneously. It's not a 6-month process to make that possible.
Okay, I think one question then is, who is gonna borrow 10, 30, 50% in 7 days?
Just degens, I guess. Who are who are willing to. I mean, this is kind of why we invented V2. Our V1, we made the greatest mistake in finance, right, or product management, is that we were trying to be right. We were giving out numbers saying like it should be 70% because that's what the data says. But the reality is somebody is willing to do 75 because they just don't look at the data, or they just want to. They just believe and have directional confidence. So if you believe that the other side floor is going to be 1.2, you can go over 100% LTV, and you'll be rewarded for that task.
Ah, so basically it's like V2 is to allow people to be redacted?
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Ah, I see. Oh, so I have deposits here, and there's positions? Huh. Is there like a testnet version?
There is if you're in Gorelli.
So
I can send you some money as well, if you'd like.
Okay, let me send my address.
We ended up buying Gorelli because it's totally. I have to send you the faucet ETH and the actual ETH. So feel free to send that over to me, and then I'll get over to your address, and then you can do some faucet ETH.
Okay. Let me find my address.
So you said that was the biggest thing when moving from V1 to V2 for like, degen users, or like, who would actually use, or how much people are willing to lend, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was we were just like we weren't winning loans with our V1 vaults because we were trying to be automating, and I think a lot of people realized like that's not a it's not a great business model to try to be right. In reality, the user should control their own user-defined risk profiles, and
so while you give users more choice, but then like auto select also helps, because I know there were some other things I've seen before with like so many options, people just like confused.
Yeah, no, it is evolving UX right now, and so you can jump in again, and then switch to the Gorelli side on the RPC.
Okay.
Yeah, the lending interface is really for the lender persona, which isn't a retail user. They are the users that are on NFT. They're like the users that are on like the lend interface on Blend. And it's difficult for sure, but it's the same number of steps that are needed to do a deposit on Uniswap V3. It's pretty much the same charts too. Like if you look at instead of the line going bottom up, it's left right, and then the inputs are the same. You choose a fee tier and you choose a deposit amount, and you choose a range, which is the price.
And the competition that's going on right now for it is...
There is a competition. Yes. And the loans are very high for the competition. People are doing 99% loans because they want to win the competition. But that was kind of the economic behavior we wanted to model. We've done like I think close to 20 loans now, and those loans are all like above 90, which is nifty. I think I have a chart right here. I'll share it in our chat. But you can see like the LTVs are like 80, 85, 100, 300, 100, 192, 101.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh wow, very cool, very cool. I'm trying to figure out how to use testnet on my Wallet Connect.
Yeah. Oh, Wallet Connect. Oh, you're not
Yeah.
on MetaMask.
Yeah, I do have MetaMask. Maybe I use that instead.
Yeah, it's you probably have testnets enabled on your settings, and then once you do that, you can select Rally.
Huh. Maybe I send. Yeah, maybe I use my MetaMask wallet instead.
Yeah, I'll continue more there.
Okay, I'll use these.
Feel free to send me over your address again for your new one, and I'll send you more money to that one.
Okay. Yeah, you can send to these. Wallet Connect is annoying.
Yeah.
Can I connect? Oh yeah, I can connect.
Okay.
Okay.
So the numbers might be a little crazy because we were edge casing, but
Okay, thanks for the 10 ETH.
yeah, it's I send you ETH and faucet ETH, so it's like we pretty much.
Okay.
Great. Both should have just gone through.
Yeah.
So yeah, feel free to select the collection on the left to go through the
Okay.
process.
Let's use this. Okay, so maybe. Oh yeah, I can't borrow right now, right?
Yeah, so there's one deposit here. It probably won't win a loan right now until somebody deposits above 2.4, because that's the competitive loan rate. It should be underneath 3.2, and that's kind of the golden range.
So it's marked between the two barriers.
Yeah, and that's because there's somebody else who's lending at 2.4, right? And typically, even though you have a much lower interest rate, say the 2.4 is like 80% interest rate, people will still choose that number over a 10% interest rate at 1.4, because they just want the most amount of money as soon as possible. To them, it's a very small fee because they're just doing a one-off to do a big trade, and they're making way more than 80% in that period. You're making like 1,000%, right? Because you're doing a trade that's short term. So the only thing that people really look for is proceeds. Interest rates is kind of an afterthought, and it's mostly fungible. That's what interest rates are. 0 to 50 generally. It's only for like punks that like the rates are pretty low, and maybe autoclives. And yeah, feel free to deposit to like a higher range in between. You can modify your deposit number, and depending on if it's utilized, which you have to go through the borrow function to make it work, it'll slowly start being utilized. Yeah.
Maybe Gen 1. Okay, approved. Max. No. Why? What? No, the button is not working.
Yeah, it might be Gorelli because people are abusing Gorilla right now.
Yeah. Okay, okay. Oh, it's not too bad now. It's turning gray.
I'm still confirming, and then you can deposit it after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the last few weeks, only the gray was like 1,000, 5,000 gray. Holy shit.
Yeah, still pretty bad. I blame that whatever layer 2. I'm never using that layer 2 again. Linear or whatever.
Yeah. I think because of all the testnet layer 2s. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's 18 gray. Okay.
Not bad.
Okay, it's approved.
Alright.
Okay, let's go. Okay, finish. Okay, but there's no way to bubble right now.
And then it's still pending, and then eventually it should pop up and fill up. You can click on the above the chart. There's a historical floor price. It's a checkbox
Oh, I see.
on the left
It's
left hand side. Yeah. If you click there, you can see like this is obviously a little more complicated view. But you see like if you're a lender and you're doing 7 days, you might want to look at the historical floor price chart instead of just the current. Because then you're like, okay, it's kind of bottom ticked right now, in terms of the floor price or whatever charting that one might use. It's oversold. So you might be more comfortable getting closer to the floor price or something. If it's been pumping like meme lands or captains, for example, and you're looking at the historical floor price chart, maybe you shouldn't do a very high LTV loan. And then you can do like different risk measurements based on that. Here, I'm kind of surprised people aren't doing higher LTV loans here, even in our competition. I guess people just don't like Clonex anymore. And then, yeah, and so that's pretty much kind of the process. You just drag to a certain level. It's likely auto-selected for you already. So the fee tiers and the terms, that's definitely manipulatable, but it's more so for like more sophisticated users. Likely it'll be auto-selected just like on Uniswap. It's always auto-selected for the fee tier. So the only thing that you do is just choose a price and deposit. This is your position. If you actually click into the button click into your position, you can actually redeem it. So if you click into, yeah, right there. You can add deposit or withdraw. You probably want to see the withdraw interface.
Okay, let's go withdraw first. So I can do...
You can add more to your position. That's at deposit. The withdraw is just like, you have to enter, if it's being utilized because it's fixed term, you have to wait until all the loans have matured to turn into cash. We do have a new withdraw interface. Just we've been working quite hard on it. I can share with you a preview if you're interested.
Oh, I see. So if I have multiple positions, I have to call multiple withdraws?
You do. You have to withdraw each individual one, and then you have to rebalance them. Well, the new one has a rebalance function.
I see.
But yeah, like I said, effectively each one of these prices is creating a new vault, kind of like iron vaults, and that it's facilitating loans for you in that specific role. So it's almost like an automatic tranche vault maker. It's complicated in the back end. We try to abstract it away as much as we can. And we're still trying to make it simpler, even today.
I see. Yeah, because honestly speaking, if you didn't tell me about the risk parameters, I have no clue what price support like the fee tier.
Yeah, and that's why the fee tiers we kind of hide away. It's like
Yeah.
it's gonna default to the most selected. Hopefully the most sophisticated players will do it. Ideally the first depositors are the ones kind of setting the trend, and we're just assuming that people aggregate to the right numbers. And generally most things are 30%. Well, it's actually 40. That's most rates, but there is no correct interest rates technically. Much like how there isn't really a correct fee tier for Uniswap. It's like 0.03, 0.05. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So there's no borrow on the interface right now?
There is none. Yeah.
Ah.
It's very simple. You just click the multiple NFTs and then you just select borrow. For now, we wanted to add liquidity to existing platforms.
So right now it interacts with like the other borrowing platforms, basically.
Yeah, we have a bot that sells the loans to these pools. So you can see like the net earnings by some individuals across different levels. This is specifically for the testnet. But yeah.
I see. So wait a minute. So these earnings come from the bot?
So these earnings come from your guys' bot then with the.
They come from real loans. So if a loan has happened and you're in a certain tranche, that's your net earnings. So depending on how much of the max APR isn't a guaranteed rate. It's the most you can get if you're 100% filled during that period. So if you did it, for example, in your early deposit for My Ladies, and you were like 145%, you'll be getting 145% during that period in which you deposited, as long as it's being utilized correctly. So it's a bit of a balancing mechanism where like the chances of you getting filled is dependent on how risky you're putting your deposit in, but at the same time, if it's filled and you're making money, then you're in a good area.
I see. Okay, I'm a little bit small brain, but I sort of get it right now.
Yeah, it's a new mechanism. It's NFT lending has been pretty complicated up until now. Ironically, this is actually making it easier. The bilateral lending interface can be a little difficult too, because you're likely not getting filled, because your chance of getting filled on a loan is incredibly low. It's 1 out of 50. Here, you're very likely to get filled. It's just you have to manage your position a bit better.
I see. So that's why you say he's peer-to-pool and not peer-to-peer. So it becomes like a uni swap for loans versus like a P2P, which is being organized on chain right now.
Yep. Yeah, that is a big difference between our protocol, is that we're fully on chain. We're not like an off-chain order book like Blur or NFTFi. Everything that we do, you have to put in capital and you have to put it at risk. It's kind of the trade-off. Yeah, it's kind of like 0x to Uniswap, I would say. Like 0x, it was an RFQ system. Now we're trying to introduce standing liquidity.
Really cool. Anything else that we want to discuss? I think it's fairly clear to me.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can see why the old tests for the old anti-tests do not apply. It's much harder to think about now too.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated, and it's just it's the realities of the market and trying to compete with winning loans here and there.
So a lot of this, then once the the pools are created, it's like the competing with the other loans is the main part then, and
Yeah,
your guys' end, essentially.
exactly. Well, that's our first product. Technically, you can lend against any currency. So that's the next thing that we're thinking about. We wanted to create like a debt ceiling product per the use today. But effectively, you can lend against any currency, much like the US dollar lends against its own currency. And you can just raise the debt ceiling by just increasing the floor of that price. So there's different primitives that can be made on top of this.
Oh, I see.
So I think all the Git stuff that you are looking at is a little old, and this is like V1 stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's points of to V1. Maybe that's not data.
Yeah, V2 we don't have much on. I think we gotta get rid of that GitHub link. But yeah, we don't have. We're currently in audit with Spearbit right now. But we'll likely do Code Arena pretty soon, and have our assets more public.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, yeah,
I think the contract addresses might be correct. I believe.
Okay. Let's see how the default works. Is it? Okay,
Default?
A default. It just goes to English auction. We'll have an auction page on our website too.
Oh, so it's a clone. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the contracts are verified. I don't think they are.
I see. So the main one is the people that interact with the which contract?
It should be Pool Factory, but I just don't think he's kind of made it public yet. I think.
I see.
No, yeah, it's not verified yet.
Okay.
But that's like the one that people interact with when they're going through the app, right? The V2 app. Yeah.
Is that so? It seems like a. I guess this is making like the details.
Yeah, I think this is originating loans.
I see. Okay. Oh wow. He's dumping right now. Haha.
Yeah.
I see. Really cool. Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of why I would want to borrow from Metastreet.
But that's done on other platforms, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very clear. So it's quite straightforward to learn now. Yeah, I will consider lending some money. Will you consider using USDC versus just ETH? Would it be better to use USDC versus just ETH only?
David, do you guys have plans in like opening up more, I guess, or stable coins or other ERC20s for use?
Yeah, I mean that's we were originally stablecoin lenders in the beginning, but we had to move away from that because nobody wanted to have USD loans. They all want ETH because they can like hedge out the volatility that way.
Interesting.
But I mean, we will have multi-currency per that debt ceiling product. Like, for example, if you created a new NFT and you wanted to control how much you can borrow against it, that can be done through this product. Say you had a bank and you raised a debt ceiling, and now you can borrow $1 trillion instead of $1 billion, but like through a vote, like Congress, then you can do that. That's kind of the interesting products that can be created out, and you can mint yellens instead of minting borrowing ETH. So it's like different. Multi collateral is coming very soon. We're working on it right now. We'll probably launch with that as well.
When's the plan, like, or at least was it planned, like, launch date then?
Right now, June 1st, we're in our competition. It might be a week after that, just because there's so many. It's the first 3 weeks of launch, so there's a lot of bugs to squash. We're trying to get the Blur API access, so because we think a lot of volume's going through there. Actively working. The competition has been running for a week and a half now. Learning a lot. And yeah, so fingers crossed for June 1st for a few pools, and then we'll move on from there.
What's kind of like the biggest learning so far? Even though we're like halfway through the competition.
I would say rebalancing is like a very frequent use, and we kind of predicted this too. But we realized it's a very common featured need for Uniswap, and we realized it's a very common feature need for us. So we kind of iterated a bit more on the position management. And it seems like people are really willing to go degen, right? They want to win the loans. So I'm like, all right, you get what you want.
And that's talking about like the borrower side though, right? Like they're really willing to go for it.
Yeah. They really do.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
very interesting. Yeah, but I think we'll see.
Yeah, and it's been really cool. I think UX, and I just realized how much UX really matters too. That was like another big lesson. Like it matters more than the protocol, I would say.
Yeah, can definitely see that. Well, I think that's pretty good for us. Thanks for taking your time, David.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and hope you guys learned a little bit about Metastreet as well, and a little bit about NFT lending.
Yeah, really, really cool. Thanks for your time.
All right, we'll keep in touch and see how see things going well.
Sounds great. Should I just roll off here?
Yeah, I guess you.
Yeah, I mean, your plugs are here, right? Metastreet.xyz. We talk about the whole time.
Totally. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and happy to answer.
Yes.
Alright,
Is
catch you
there
guys later.
anyone in the chat who wants to ask a question?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way to get like a full comprehensive answers in our Discord. But otherwise, feel free to ping me or anybody in the chat, and I'm happy to get them answered. Find any bugs, obviously, we will add that to the list and get it fixed as soon as possible.
Yeah, really cool, really cool.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I guess maybe. Should we just end the stream?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Learned a lot today about Metastreet, their new upcoming V2 that hopefully launches in a week or so.
Yeah. Hi.
And gives people the sneak peek from the closed alpha.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is it for today. Let's close the stream.
All right. Till next week then.
Okay, bye bye. Bye bye everyone. Thanks so
Bye.
much